It was one of those moments that changed history forever. The people could no longer remain silent. While kings and nobles held grand balls, the streets were filled with hunger and despair. France was burning, and the flames would consume not only the palaces, but an entire era. The year was 1789, and France's destiny was about to be rewritten. Inequality, starvation, oppression. The monarchy, which had ruled for centuries, was beginning to crumble. But no one could have predicted just how bloody this revolution would become. Welcome to the Galactic Code. Today, we unravel one of the most explosive events in world history, the French Revolution. Few moments in history have had as profound an impact as the French Revolution. What began as a desperate cry for justice quickly spiraled into one of the bloodiest uprisings in history. Kings and queens were executed, the streets ran red with blood, and the guillotine became more than just an execution device. It became the symbol of revolution. But revolutions are never simple. Was the French Revolution truly the triumph of the people? Or did it descend into chaos? Why did a movement for freedom turn into a reign of terror? From the storming of the Bastille to the execution of King Louis XVI, from the reign of terror to the rise of Napoleon, we will explore every step of this revolution. This is not just a story of rebellion. This is the birth of modern democracy. Chapter 1. The Root Causes of the Revolution. A revolution does not happen overnight. It takes time for a spark to ignite a wildfire. The French Revolution was no exception. Years of injustice, hunger, and oppression. The people waited patiently, but the kings did not listen. And in the end, patience ran out. But how did France reach this breaking point? To understand the true causes of the revolution, we must go back in time. By the late 18th century, France was in a deep economic crisis. Years of wars and extravagant royal spending had left the country drowning in debt. But who was paying for it? The people, of course. While the wealthy nobles and the church paid no taxes, peasants and workers were crushed under heavy financial burdens. But the problem was not just economic. French society was divided into three estates: the nobility, the clergy, and the third estate, the common people. The third estate made up 98% of the population, yet they had no political rights. The laws did not protect them. Instead, they punished them. Then, things got even worse. In 1788 and 1789, France faced a devastating famine. The price of grain skyrocketed, and even bread became a luxury. People were starving, children were dying, and riots began to break out. But inside the Palace of Versailles, everything was fine. Queen Marie Antoinette was rumored to have responded to the people's hunger with the infamous words, "Let them eat cake." Whether she said it or not didn't matter anymore. In the eyes of the people, one thing was clear. The monarchy had completely lost touch with reality, and this system could not last forever. France was on the verge of an explosion. The people were not just hungry, they wanted freedom. But freedom does not come easily, and the French people were about to learn this lesson the hard way. Chapter 2. The Storming of the Bastille. The First Spark. The The streets of Paris were boiling with hunger and rage. The people were no longer just shouting. They were ready to take action. Hundreds armed themselves, filling the streets with stones, sticks, and whatever weapons they could find. And they had one target: the Bastille. The Bastille Brazil Alvi. Stood tall in the heart of Paris, a dark and imposing fortress. For years, it had housed political prisoners under the orders of the king. But by this time, the Bastille was no longer just a prison. To the people, it had become the ultimate symbol of tyranny and royal oppression. And on that day, the people decided to tear it down. As the armed crowd reached the Bastille's gates, only 7 prisoners remained inside. But this was no longer a rescue mission. It was a declaration of revolution. The royal guards tried to defend the gates, but they were no match for the fury of the people. After hours of battle, the Bastille fell. The prisoners were freed. The prison commander was captured and executed by the people. And this moment was the moment the French Revolution officially began. The fall of the Bastille was not just the destruction of a building. It was the first great victory of the people against the monarchy. It was the first major step toward justice. From this point on, nothing would ever be the same. But the revolution was only beginning. And this bloody road would not end the way anyone expected, by anyone. Chapter 3: The Fall of the King and the Bloody Years. Revolutions begin with hope, but sometimes they end in fear. When the Bastille fell, the people believed they had won their freedom. But the truth was, the real battle was just beginning. France was no longer a monarchy. It was now a land of revolution. And the people didn't just want to change the system, they wanted to destroy it. By 1792, King Louis XVI was overthrown, and in the eyes of the people, he was nothing more than a traitor. He was put on trial in the Revolutionary Tribunal. His crime was clear: betraying his people and trying to preserve the monarchy. And for the people of France, there was only one possible sentence: death. On January 21st, 1793, King Louis XVI was publicly executed by guillotine. A king once seen as the shadow of God was erased from history in mere seconds. But the revolution had tasted blood, and it wasn't satisfied yet. This period would become known as the Reign of Terror. Led by Jacobin leader Robespierre, the revolution was no longer a symbol of freedom. It had become a symbol of fear. Every day, new execution orders were signed. People betrayed each other. No one was safe. Nobles, clergy, even those who had once supported the revolution were sent to the guillotine. And then, it was Queen Marie Antoinette's turn. On October 16th, 1793, she too was executed by guillotine. The woman who once danced at royal balls now faced the fury of the people. The streets of Paris were soaked in blood. There was no king, no queen, but France was still in chaos. When would the madness end? Those who had started the revolution were now turning against each other, and France's greatest transformation was just around the corner. Chapter 4: After the Revolution and the Rise of Napoleon. The revolution had begun, but how would it end? France was no longer a monarchy, but it was not yet a true republic either. In 1794, when the Reign of Terror came to an end, France was in complete chaos. The very revolutionaries who once promised liberty had now become tyrants in the eyes of the people. The leader of the revolution, Robespierre, the man who once commanded the guillotine, was now about to face the same fate himself. With Robespierre's execution, the revolution seemed to be over. But The truth was, France still needed a leader. After years of bloodshed and disorder, the people longed for a strong figure to unite them. And that leader was Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon was a military genius who rose from the vacuum left by the revolution. He quickly ascended the ranks of the French army and soon became a national hero. His courage and strategic brilliance would reshape the future of France. In 1799, Napoleon overthrew the government and declared himself the first consul. This marked the beginning of a new era for France. The monarchy was gone, the revolution was over. But democracy had not yet fully taken shape, because Napoleon had one goal in mind: empire. And just 5 years later, in 1804, Napoleon Bonaparte placed the crown on his own head, declaring himself Emperor of France. A new age had begun. The people had overthrown a king, only to rally behind another powerful leader. Was this a victory? Or was it the failure of the revolution? The French Revolution changed the world, but its outcome was far different from what anyone had expected. The lasting impact and legacy of the French Revolution. Kings were overthrown, empires rose, revolutionaries came and went. But what did the French Revolution truly change? The fall of the Bastille and the execution of King Louis XVI didn't just change France, they changed the entire world. The French Revolution was not just a national uprising, it was a movement of ideas. And these ideas spread from Europe to America, and even to Asia and Africa. Liberty, equality, fraternity. These three words were no longer just a slogan. The revolution shook the foundations of monarchies and laid the groundwork for democracy. Today, many constitutions around the world are inspired by the ideas born in the French Revolution. But the revolution didn't just bring democracy, it also introduced a new form of government. Once the people discovered their power, no government could ever be the same again. So, was this truly a victory? Did the revolution bring freedom? Or did it only lead to more war and bloodshed? Did Napoleon's empire carry on the ideals of the revolution? Or was the revolution ultimately a failure? Historians still debate these questions. But one thing is certain: the French Revolution changed the world forever. And perhaps the greatest lesson of all is this: freedom never comes without a cost. Thank you for exploring the story of the French Revolution with us. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications for more historical explorations. Do you think the French Revolution was truly a victory? Or was it an inevitable tragedy? Share your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video. Goodbye.